But you know, say
that
back there,
10% of the world's population lives with disability. What are we doing to ensure equality and inclusiveness? I am joined in the studio by Adam Abdul Wahab. He's a member of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations. I'm also joined by Safia Musa from Star Ghana. They're going to give us more details on the way forward in ensuring equality and inclusiveness where people living with disabilities are concerned. So, 12 years after the passage of the bill, would you say, Adam, this is to you, would you say there has been any improvement in the lives of people living with disabilities?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. I will use this opportunity to greet anyone watching us. For me, as far as we are concerned as a federation, I can say that though an attempt has been made for something to be done, but we are never pleased with what has been done so far. Because if you look at the Act, Section 6 of the Act actually provided for accessibility. And in our life of persons with disability, nothing can be possible without ensuring very effective accessibility. For example, coming to TV3, if I was using a wheelchair and there were no ramps for me to be able to use them, then it means I will be excluded. Now, the Act gave us a 10 years grace period that expired 2016, that is from 2006 to 2016. Then, all buildings that are meant for public consumption should have been modified and made accessible to all persons with disabilities. But unfortunately, even the ministry, that is Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, under which disability issues fall, still remain inaccessible to persons with disability. So this tells us that even we are under that ministry, the ministry should have taken the lead to ensure that there is accessibility.
You think the ministry has not done enough?
The ministry has not done anything. As far as I am concerned, I can see zero.
There's also Section 29 of the same Act, which talks about reserving certain seats in transportation for people living with disabilities. We haven't. Has the implementation been encouraging? As
far as I am concerned, there is no provision in the Act that has been implemented as we are sitting here today. There are a lot of things, because even there is a provision in the Act that there should be free education for persons with disability, like children with disabilities. But that was very difficult for us to do as a country. But currently, we are comfortably running free education from nursery to secondary school. But we were not able to do that. And despite the free education, persons with disabilities still bear extra costs, because they need to look for people to support them here and there. Some have to get people to watch for them and others. So for the arts, there is no any provision that I can say that this provision has been implemented. Healthcare, still a problem. Education, employment, accessibility, almost everything in the arts, there have not been encouragements at all in the process. You know, we ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, that is the 2007. And the convention actually requires us as a country to modify our existing laws and then also ensure that the coming laws should be in conformity with the Act and then with the convention. And the convention is very comprehensive enough that if it is implemented, we will actually have our environment very comfortable for persons with disabilities, as it is in the other countries like Switzerland, America, and other places.
Thank you so much, Adam. Now, Safia, you have been working with people living with disabilities for a while. You have a civil society movement. Why do you think some of these problems still persist?
It's a question that remains unanswered, and it's quite disappointing. Like you rightly mentioned, we have the Act, we have very strong legal provisions, and we have ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. Our problem has always been implementation of some of these provisions. I mean, the Act is so clear, the items on it. If we would commit as a country to implementing them gradually, 12 years today, we would have made a headway. Unfortunately, we passed it and then we went to sleep.
Right.
And what we fail to realize
but
is
when
that...
you say gradual, where do we start from? Because there's employment, there's education, there's health, transport. Where do we start from so we can have a progressive implementation? We
need to start from somewhere. And I would admit that one of the provisions in the Act was the setting up of the National Council of Persons with Disability. That has been done. There's an executive director that has been appointed, an acting executive director, I think. That was one of the provisions. And that council was supposed to lead, in the implementation of the Act in collaboration with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. The council has come with its own challenges. It's not well resourced in terms of human capacity, in terms of funding and all of those. And so it starts with the commitment, the political will. We acknowledge that we are not all the same in our country. There are citizens who have special needs, and if we want to develop inclusively, we have to bring everybody along. We need to create the environment, the space for everybody to be able to participate fully. So as simple as making public buildings accessible is still a challenge. 10 years, there was a moratorium that after 10 years, existing buildings should be modified so that it became more disability friendly. That hasn't been done. And unfortunately, in the 10-year space to this date, new buildings coming up, including buildings by state institutions, they come up and they so flout the provisions. There's accessibility and buildings code. There are standards for those. And district assemblies, the ministries of highways, works and roads, and all of those are supposed to ensure that as contracts are given out, structures are put up, they're supposed to ensure that the basic standards are adhered to. We haven't done well to go back and modify the buildings that were there before the moratorium, and then the new ones that are coming up are further flouting them. It's really a cause for concern. And our movement, Star Ghana actually facilitated the formation of a civil society movement for social inclusion. Right. And this subject has been one of our greatest concerns, that we cannot continue to live this way. We cannot continue to move on and then leave a chunk of our population behind. And that is why today we are taking to the streets. DFD is one of the conveners of the movement. And Wahab and others are going out on the street. We are supporting them. And we want to remind government that a commitment was made 12 years ago, and that it's about time we stood up. It's about time we show the commitment and ensure that the right things are done.
That was Safia from Star Ghana, and she's reminding government 12 years after the passage of 715, it's time to sit up and ensure inclusive and equality for people living with disabilities. Missions is sponsored by Star Ghana, Danida, UK Aid, and the European Union.